Welcome to the NFL World when NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. We plan to do what division won the NFL draft. We're going to push that till tomorrow, as the George Pickens trade to the Dallas Cowboys it needs to be talked about. Let me explain how this happened. The trade for George Pickens, the picks that are traded, we don't know the year of the picks that are being traded. That has not been fully explained yet. But we do know what picks were traded. We knew that the Cowboys traded a 3rd and a 6th for George Pickens and a 7th. I would assume that's all next year. Hasn't been verified yet. Let's first begin how this started. About 2 months ago in free agency, or just at the end of free agency, there was rumors that George Pickens could be on the trade block because they had just traded for DK Metcalf. But nothing came of it. So I said, okay, they're not going to trade him. Then we got closer and closer to the draft, and a week before the draft, there was this rumor going around that a couple of NFC teams had inquired about an AFC North wide receiver. And reading the tea leaves and any other kind of version of that you want to describe, we figured out it was George Pickens. And on the week of the draft, we figured out it was George Pickens, and the Cowboys were trying to trade for him. We got to the draft. Nothing happened. Nothing happened before. Nothing happened during. And nothing happened directly in the aftermath. A week later, nothing happened. I thought that was dead. And I said yesterday to myself, it looks like the Cowboys are going to have to sign a wide receiver. There is, according to Jeremy Fowler, mutual interest to sign Amari Cooper. And then at 9 o'clock last night, there started to be some interesting developments. Now, on Twitter, you have to be careful with Twitter, and sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not. There's this guy who's lovingly known as the People's Insider, okay? He goes by the name Slick Rick or Rick Scoops. He said, and he has like an 85% accuracy, which is really good for an insider. He said that the Dallas Cowboys and the Steelers were trying to talk trade, and there was a gif of George Pickens, or of George Costanza standing up saying, "I'm out," kind of thing, which, putting the two and two together, means George Pickens to the Cowboys. That was said about 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, 2 of the Cowboys insiders had already weighed in, and I'll say their names, Nick Harris and Clarence Hill. They both work inside the Cowboys facility in Frisco, Texas. By about 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a notification on my phone saying news about the Cowboys has come out. Check Twitter to find out what it is. So I click it, and it's Nick Harris saying, "I take it back," with a gif of it. The gif saying, "taking it back." Then Slick Rick comes out and says, "Blockbuster, Steelers trading George Pickens to the Cowboys will be official on Wednesday." We got to about 11 o'clock on Wednesday, and it was announced George Pickens was traded to the Cowboys. There's pros and cons to this, as I just quickly recap what happened in the last 2 months. Or almost 2 months. There's what's important and what's not important. I think the Steelers were done with George Pickens. I don't think they really wanted to continue with George Pickens. The hassle of the character, he does have character concerns, of course, did not work for them. I think they were fed up. They had already gone through this path with Antonio Brown. Even though he's bigger than Antonio Brown and does a lot more things, I could see why they were done with it. The Cowboys, they killed the draft, but they didn't get a wide receiver. They drafted 2 running backs, 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive tackles, a cornerback, an edge rusher, and a linebacker. They didn't go wide receiver. I really think they wanted to Trevor McMillan, and they couldn't, and they tried to trade down, and they couldn't, so they were kind of stuck where they were. That's unfortunate, but it does happen. So when this potential came up that they could trade for George Pickens, why wouldn't they? Now, like I said, there is pros and cons. The pro is, for the Cowboys, they got a wide receiver to help out CeeDee Lamb and help out Dak Prescott. Because, be honest, for a second, no one was afraid of this wide receiving core. Nobody. It's the worst wide receiving core, at least from 2 to 6 in the league. And if something happened to CeeDee Lamb, knock on wood, nothing would happen. Nothing good would happen. It would go, your wide receiving core outside of CeeDee Lamb is Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, Cavante Turpin, who's a special teams guy and more of a gadgety player. Ryan Flournoy, my bad. And Kelvin Harmon. That's who you got. It's not a good group. You didn't draft anybody. You signed a couple of UDFAs. Nothing to really be so excited about. But then you went with this choice. You said, I'll take George Pickens over Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen. Okay. Because what does George Pickens bring you? 4.47 speed. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He catches the 50-50 balls. He makes them more like 80-20s, 70-30s. He'll take pressure off CD and Dak Prescott because he's kind of like a solid number one, but really an unbelievable number two. That gives the Cowboys some advantage. So that's the pros for the Cowboys. The cons are the character concerns. He's a great on-the-field player. Can he keep his character in check? The best example I can give you is that Sunday night in early October, October 6th, where that was the longest NFL day in history. Started at 9 o'clock, finished at 1 o'clock in the morning on October 7th. Remember, that was the big rain delay where the game went an hour and like almost an hour 30 later. And it was Cowboys and Steelers. And at the end of the game, and Steelers fans know this, they are well aware of this, George Pickens grabs one of the Cowboys cornerbacks, Jordan Lewis at the time, grabs him by the face mask, and slings him to the ground by his face mask. From my recollection, there was no flags thrown, but there was a fine. If that George Pickens is what we get, that's not ideal. But you also want that kind of attitude. You want that attitude. So I get both sides of this. But the thing is also, if the Cowboys have been preaching culture, George Pickens doesn't exactly fit that mold of culture. So there is that. But if I'm the Cowboys, you're looking at it and saying, you know what, we're in May. We are May 7th. Okay? We are 7 months removed from that incident. We didn't draft any wide receivers. We have some UDFAs. But we are talking about we want to be better. How are we going to be better if we only run with CeeDee Lamb again? We need somebody. We weren't going to be able to get Cortland Sutton for that cheap. We weren't 100% certain what we'd get out of Amari Cooper. The reason they got rid of Amari Cooper is because at times he was not going at it 100%. That's the reason. We don't want to really bet on Keenan Allen because he's an older player. You've already kind of gone down that road. But this allows you to get a younger player who is only a rental. Which, by the way, they can absolutely pay. Because if they pay George Pickens, they actually save a little bit of money. If they pay Michael Parsons, they save quite a bit of money. So they can absolutely do these deals if they want to. But if they want to keep it a 1-year deal, 1-year rental stuff, they can. You traded basically a 3rd-round pick for a starting wide receiver. Can't be mad at that. Plus, you got better in May, which is very difficult to do. As much as you want to blame this, as this is against what the Cowboys are trying to do, I'm appreciative in a way. I haven't been this pleased with this organization in quite some time with how much they are trying to get better. Because when's the last time they made a trade like this? People are going to say Amari Cooper. It's not Amari Cooper. They don't play the same way. You have to go back a decade plus when the Cowboys made a trade like this similar on draft night. All those years ago, the draft Des Bryant, who also had character problems. But on-field product, he was really good. So this is kind of that. And maybe the Cowboys feel they can control him a little bit. For their sake, I hope they can, because I think he's an unbelievable talent. But it is a task that Brian Schottenheimer is going to have to, and I have to handle. And I hope they did talk to Brian about this. I really do. I hope this wasn't just the front office saying, we're making this move whether you like it or not. I hope they said, Brian, we're thinking about this. What do you think about it? And I think Brian's going to say basically everything he said during the draft. He loves football. Yeah, he could be a tyrant. Maybe he's not the right kind of guy that we normally look for. But we're trading a 3rd-round pick for him. We want to get better. This is how we get better. We want to help CD out, who CD also did a gif of, I think it was, I don't know who it was. I can't remember the show, but it's The Simpsons when the guy's just waving. It's like, that's kind of, you need somebody to help him out. Somebody to help him out. Someone to help Dak out. This is the way you do it. Because now teams in the NFC, teams all around the league are going to go and be like, they got better. And they filled a lot of holes that they had early in this offseason. They filled it. There's still some issues, but they filled a lot. And now you're looking at them like, you're hoping the coaching staff is the problem, because this team, player-wise, got. You're hoping, because that's the only thing you can hope for. You're saying this team got better. The players got better. They drafted well. They drafted for need. They got their guys in. You're just hoping the coaching staff is what fails them. Because if it doesn't, they blew it up in a year and got better. And now you can say, maybe there's a chance that they find a way to be better. I'm not saying they'll be 100% better. I don't think that's realistic. But can they get, like, the NFL had them making out at 7.5 wins. Is it possible it's more like 9 now? It's a question that we all have to raise. And again, great job by the front office, which we don't say a lot over here on this show. The front office did an excellent job here. Do they still try to get better? We'll have to wait and see. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.